Unraveling Knitting Jargon. Purl Wise, Demystified. Hello, and welcome to our English language learning series. Today, we're going to untangle a term that might have knitters nodding and understanding, but leaves others scratching their heads: purl wise. Whether you're a knitting enthusiast looking to brush up your English or just curious about this phrase, stick around as we stitch together its meaning and use. Before we dive into the phrase, purl wise, let's pull apart the word purl. In knitting, a purl is a type of stitch that is essentially the opposite of a knit stitch. It's created by bringing the yarn to the front of the work and then inserting the right-hand needle from the top down into the front of the loop on the left-hand needle. Now, when we add wise to purl, we're talking about the direction or manner in which a needle enters a stitch. Purl wise means to insert the needle as if you were going to make a purl stitch, regardless of what you actually do next. The term purl wise comes up in knitting patterns and instructions. For instance, if a pattern tells you to slip a stitch purl wise, it means you should transfer the stitch from the left-hand needle to the right-hand needle as if you were going to purl it, but without actually working the stitch. Why does this matter? Because how you slip the stitch, knit-wise or purl-wise, affects the orientation of the stitch and can impact the overall look of the pattern. Understanding purl-wise is essential because stitch orientation is crucial in knitting. Slipping a stitch purl-wise will keep the stitch oriented in the same direction as it was on the left needle. This is often used in decorative stitches or to make the fabric lie flat. Conversely, if a stitch is slipped knit-wise, it twists the stitch, which can be used intentionally for certain patterns or textures. While purl-wise is a term mostly used in knitting, it can also be found in everyday language, particularly in creative writing or descriptions, to convey doing something with care, precision, or in a particular manner, just as one would handle yarn and needles when following a complex knitting pattern. I hope this explanation has helped clarify what purl wise means and how it's used both in knitting and potentially in everyday speech. Remember, language, much like knitting, is all about patterns and practice. Keep at it, and soon you'll be crafting sentences as skillfully as a knitter creates sweaters. Until our next lesson, happy learning and happy knitting!